Hi there, and welcome to your full body adjusting. I'd love to just get right into it if you don't mind. Okay, so I would love to start by just assessing your body, seeing maybe where we can get a bit of improvement, which parts need a little more attention than others. Do you mind if I start with that? Excellent. So let's go ahead and just look firstly at the head and the head-neck relationship here. So, tell me, do you have any particular issues you want to address? Good. All right, yeah, I can certainly look at that. Okay, I am going to move your head around a little bit. So I'm going to hold on to you the whole time. And we're just going to very gently just look at how your head moves. Let's go out and tilt it a little bit. Good. And the other side here. Okay. Maybe we'll do one of these. One of these. Okay. Let's go ahead and just move you back a bit. And the other side here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a restriction there. Can't quite do that. So we have that to look for. And as for your neck and your shoulders here, would you mind just giving them a couple of rolls backwards and forwards for me? Okay. All right, so we can definitely lower those. That's going to open up the chest area a little bit so that we're not so hunched forward. Look at everything. So the shoulders here, the actual joint, and over here. Any tenderness, any pain here? Okay. Do you find you have any restriction when trying to do any sort of reaching motion, or if you are bearing any weight, like if you're carrying bags, anything like that? Okay. And elbows here, we have any issues with tendinitis, for example, any restriction? Okay. All right, how about our hands? Hands and fingers. Okay, not too bad. And legs here, we'll just get a little look. Get a little look. How was the traffic when you came in? It's not usually too bad this time of day, but now that it's getting warmer, definitely a little more lively. You might hear that on occasion. Okay, and if I just feel around the knee here, right into the ligaments. Any pain here? What about the other side? Okay, good. Good. And any issues with your ankles or your feet? Okay. I'm just going to look at you from the side here. And we're going to look at your posture. A little bit of shrimp check here. Make sure that we're not doing one of these, the old banana position, but instead that we have our correct kyphosis and lordosis angles, or how your spine is supposed to curve. So we'll just look at it from the side here. And the other side. So you certainly pitch forward a bit. The head pitches forward. And we've got the rounded shoulders. A little bit of rounding there. So we'll have to do some work right in there. But our lower curve looks good. And if you weren't pitched forward just that little bit, your posture would be quite straight. It's at a little bit of a diagonal right now, but we can work with that. We can absolutely work with that. So I am going to be using both manual techniques, as in my hands, and I have a couple of other tools as well. So I want to just start with warming things up a little. So let's start right in here in the neck. And I'm just going to feel if maybe we have some fascia issues, or is this in the muscles? Are the bones out of alignment? Do we need to give those little tap back in? Getting into the soft tissue here. Do you happen to work on the computer a lot, or do you use your phone a lot? Do you find yourself bending forward like that? Yeah. We can get this fixed, and then ideally it'll feel strange if you do start pitching forward, so that it might trigger your brain to go, wait a second, this is not how we're supposed to be positioned. Okay, so I am just going to maneuver your head a little bit. We're going to see if we can maybe do a little bit of a muscle energy kind of technique here. So I'm going to move your head just like this. I'm going to have you push against my hand here with about 10 to 20% of your strength. Not very much at all, but just enough to get the muscle working. Okay? So you press forward, and we'll hold that for about 5 seconds. Okay? Go ahead and press. Keep holding. And relax. Alright, let's see if we can get that back a bit more. Okay. Go ahead and press against my hand. Good. And let go. Good. Press against my hand here. Keep pressing. And let go. Alright, so we got a little bit more back there. I'm going to bring your head forward. Okay. Let's try that on the other side. So we get right about there, right? Press against my hand here. Yep, keep pressing. And relax. Okay, relax back in there. and press against my hand here. Good. Good, and just relax there. And then, yeah, we get a little bit more. Okay, go ahead and press against my hand. Good, and relax. All right, so we'll give that just a second to relax. And I'm going to work with the neck a little bit more. We'll give your brain a second to register that change. Good. Traffic. Told ya. It's just the sounds of other people having fun, huh? Getting to the places they need to go, living their lives. That is just fine. So let's see if we can do a little bit more here. All right, we're going to come right about here, and I'm going to hold your head like this, okay? So I'm going to have you press against my hand. Good, and relax. Get a little bit more, okay? Press against my hand. Relax. And press against my hand. And relax. Good. Okay, other side. Press against my hand. Good. Relax. Press against my hand. Relax. And press against my hand. And relax. Okay. Definitely a little more loose, a little more limber there. And I think that is the work that I want to do with the head and neck there. And I just want that to relax down a little bit. So we're going to switch gears. Now, I want to come right in here, and we are going to use these right here. These are called tie sticks. These are made of rosewood, and we're going to use them to just tap along your head, and these work excellently to reduce tension and pressure. So the muscles in your scalp were quite tense. So this will help to reduce some of that. I'm going to just use the broad side here to start. And I'm just going to hold this right here and just do some tapping around here. Let me know if this becomes too much. Would you mind just turning around for me so that we can work on your neck now, your neck and your shoulders? I'll be working with these, and I've got a couple other tools that we'll do some fine work with. Okay. Just working up the neck. One side. And the other. Just along the tops of the shoulders here. Okay, and down the sides of the thoracic vertebrae here. Okay. So for some fine-tune work, to really get into the muscles there, I'm going to use something a little unconventional. You might know these as just some pine wood shims, but it turns out that not only are these very light, with quite a good range to them, they're quite long, but they also have this perfect little angle here to get into these thinner areas, get between the fibers a little bit better. So we're going to work on the neck here. Let me know if this is too much. This tends to be very gentle, but some people are a little more sensitive to it. Good. And along the shoulders. Cover a good bit of ground here. Okay, and just down the back. we will look at the lower back here. Just kind of getting a feel here into the muscles. Usually the spot is pretty tight and problematic for a lot of people, but you seem to be doing pretty well here. I'd like to do just a little bit of work here on the sacrum. So we're going to start with the larger end. Just reduce some tension. Make sure to get to the problem before it causes a problem. Okay, and around the hips. Just tracing the iliac crest here. We'll just get some of the lumbar vertebrae while we're here. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that the sides of the spine and the vertebrae are all good. Just double checking, making sure nothing's turned one way or the other. And they're pretty balanced. So we'll bring in this bad boy here. So sacrum first. And around the ilium. And up the lumbar. Okay. There we go with that. So you can go ahead and turn back around. And then let's look at your shoulders here. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to do a little bit of work here so that we can keep these from being so rounded. So if I could just have you relax as best as you can. Okay, we are just going to work these down a bit. Okay. Let's do a little A little bit more manual work here. Is pressure okay? Okay, so just get in here and we're just going to press this in here. Okay, can you just give your shoulders a couple of rolls backwards and then a couple of rolls forward? Okay, I can probably just do a little bit of targeted tapping here, just on the top of the shoulders here. Let's give them a good press down. Okay, how does that feel? Okay, not too bad. So because we worked with the shoulders, we are going to have to get a bit into the chest as well. So your body's kind of compensated for the posture by shortening these muscles, lengthening the ones in the back. So we want to relax these muscles so they can stretch back and then they can be the correct length. And this is going to be a little delicate here. Just going to have to go along these fibers. Work with the tension. And let's look at what we got here. Okay, so a little bit tense right in these areas, which is very common. Let's just work a little bit with that. Good. Okay, let's take a look at the sternum here. Does it feel sore around the sternum where the ribs meet the sternum? Okay, not too bad. Good. That's good. So let's take a look at your arms here. So I can do a little bit of work each elbow here. So they do have a little bit of heat to them. And sometimes if a joint is overworked or a muscle is, you'll get a lot of heat with that joint. So let's just go ahead and open the tissues up a little. Good. That's starting to get sore. Yeah, that's pretty common. Sometimes it's like we manage to ignore it until we actually start working with it. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that didn't feel nice. So we're creating space here in between the fibers. So doing some squeezing and making sure to rub over the areas. I know that doesn't feel nice, but that's how we help uncongest this spot. Okay, let's see. I think for these I'll just need my tie sticks. Let's get our smaller end. Do you mind turning your arm so I can get the inner tendons there? How does that feel? Okay. Alright, and what about the wrist here? Okay, not too bad. So I'm just going to hold on to it. I'm going to press it in, so back this way into the joint, and we'll do some movements. We'll do that for your fingers as well. It's just a good, very simple adjustment to do. So I'm going to hold on to your hand here and your arm, and we're going to press back in and do some rotation. Good. And with each finger we'll do the same. We'll press it in and do our rotations. One way, the other. Middle finger, ring finger, pinky, and thumb. Let's look at the other side here. How are we doing here? Is this just as painful? Okay, good. So we'll do the same where we'll warm this up. We'll create some space between the fibers here, between the soft tissues. That inner part of the elbow is a lot more tender, huh? Yeah. I believe that one's called golfer's elbow. Usually tennis elbow is the one you hear about the most, but golfer's elbow is definitely not fun. Alright, let's grab our little tie sticks here, and we'll get the outside first. the inside. And then just let that relax. So I think with what you've got going on, I started out pretty gentle because we don't want everything to tense back up and not only not heal, but perhaps make it worse. We can definitely go in almost layer by layer in subsequent sessions. I would say if we do it twice a week, I'd want to do this for maybe a month, 3 to 4 weeks. And then if we want to do once a week, I would go for about 1.5 to 2 months. So it's up to you, but we can get into the muscle fibers and start to unwind everything. Let's go ahead and work with your wrist here. So pressing in towards the joint and doing some rotation. And then each finger pressing in and rotating. So we could use more pressure in subsequent sessions if we are able to unwind some of the tension, get a little bit more range of movement, and reduce some of those trigger points like the inner tendons of the elbow. Those were pretty reactive. Okay, so the legs here. Let's take a look. So the knees were pretty good, but these are joints that tend to give a lot of people issues. So we're just going to give them a bit of attention, a bit of a top up here. Let's go ahead and just work with the ligaments. Good. And these can take a little bit more pressure than the elbows, especially since these aren't giving you too many issues. And I can go in with my shins. Just alongside the joint. Okay. So I'll do the same with your ankles and feet as I did with your wrists and your fingers. And then we'll take a look at how your body is situated after. Okay, the other knee here. We'll see what kind of improvements we've made, what needs a little more attention. See how we're doing. Good. sure that's all loose and relaxed. Good. All right, now, if you could just pop one of your feet on my knee here, just so it's easier to get to. Okay, so I'm going to hold onto your foot and your leg. We will push in towards your leg and then rotate the ankle and the other way. Okay, and each toe will press in and give it a little bit of a rotation. First toe, second toe, third toe, fourth, and the pinky toe. Okay. And the other foot. All right, just press that in. Rotate one way, and then the other. And each toe pressing in, rotating one way, then the other. Inside, outside, internal rotation, external rotation. In and out, in and out. Okay, so let's go ahead and just take a peek what we've got going on here. So, from the side here. From the side, it looks like your shoulders are much further back than they were. They're even a good bit lower. Definitely some room to improve. But for a first session, that's not bad at all. I am not displeased with that at all. I'm going to move your head a bit. We'll see how we're doing. Good. Good. All right. That goes back that way. That goes back that way. Okay. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay. How do the elbows feel? Not too bad, I hope. Okay. Yeah, there might be that lingering soreness for a couple of days. If it lasts any longer than that, you can give me a call and we can check that out. But otherwise, you look to be in a lot better shape than when you came in. Are there any other particular areas that you think need a little more attention, that maybe you think that I had skipped over? We can get into if you'd like. Okay, that was pretty good. All right. So, if you want to make an appointment with the receptionist at the front desk to do more subsequent appointments, you can do everything all at once. We can take it each week if you want. It's up to you. Okay? All right. So, it was wonderful meeting you and absolutely excellent working with you. I think we can definitely get a lot of improvement in your posture and in some of those more sensitive areas, some of the painful areas. Okay? All right. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Without to support the channel and check out my Patreon. I have a link in the description box. And you get perks like early access videos and a whole bunch of Patreon exclusive